Morning. So it's time for another weekly Wealth Insight, and this one is coming live right in front of the lagoon here at Knysna. Vusumuzi Ntuli, you sent me a message and I thought I would try and reply to you. And I'm paraphrasing your message and I'll try to put it up here. But in simple terms, you said, how do you partner with the giants of industry and when you've got no money? And secondly, you said, how do you get to know these type of people because they want to distance themselves from you, particularly in the black community? So I thought what I'd do is I'd share a little story with you. And I was 22 years old. I studied at UCT in Cape Town, and then I went over and I was working in London. And after my first year in London, we came back to South Africa for Christmas, and we were sitting at a restaurant with some of my friends. And my friend came and he said, his mom wants to, his grandmother wants to sell her house. So it was in a place called Rondebosch in Cape Town. And I said, well, why don't we buy it? I know exactly where it is. It's very good for student accommodation. And so we went around, we arranged it the next day. So, before she put it on the market with estate agents, etc. And we went and we saw the property, and it was a big property and a prime location. And so I said, Warren, let's do this. Why don't we partner and get this done? So the challenge is we were 1 year out of university. We still had debt, and we didn't really have any track record. And on top of that, we were living in England, so we weren't even working in South Africa. And so the philosophy is, in terms of answering your question of how you partner, it's always about adding value. So when you're young, you've got time, and you can walk the streets and you can find opportunity. And as you get older, you've got money, and then you want to partner with younger people that not only have the exciting ideas and can create the value, but there's also a part where people want to give back, and it keeps them young, basically, in simple terms. So in that case, I went to a business partner. We put a whole business plan together. We said, right, this is how it's going to work. We're going to buy this property. We'll bring the mortgage to the table. So because we were earning salary, we could get a mortgage, but we had no cash. They put in the money as a deposit. I can't remember anymore if it was 10 or 20%. And ultimately we go into a joint venture and we buy the property. So we did that. We held the property for about a year. We looked into all the planning. It had R4 zoning, so we could actually build, I can't remember exactly, I think it was 32 units. So we then embarked on finding a very, very successful developer. And we said, look, we've got the land, we've secured the land, it's in a perfect position. Why don't we do a joint venture with you? So you've got the ability to execute and to do developments. You've also, they own the franchise of SEEF. So they also had the ability to sell the units. And so we went into a joint venture with them, which was a 50-50 partnership. And what was really interesting is that when we looked at it, we didn't end up building the 32 units because we were right on the Liesbeek River, and it would have just cost too much money to build a basement next to the river. So we ended up changing the feasibility and building 6 townhouses. And we ended up building the 6 townhouses, selling the 6 townhouses, and each walking away with a very handsome profit. And I think that hopefully answers your question of how do you do it, because it's about adding value. It's about going and finding the right partners, but it's not about what you want. It's about adding value to them. And so hopefully that answers your question. I've got many, many examples in my past. In fact, every deal I've ever done has been through partnership. And in a partnership, it's always about adding value. There's that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which I would highly recommend. And in life, it's always the same thing. I always say to my son, how do you make money? And, his reply is, you add value. That's what it's about. The more value you add, the more you will be able to create what you want. Zig Ziglar's principle says, you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And I think it's a motto that you should really consider and think about, because that truly is, the essence upon, how to not only create value, but to create the things that you want for yourself in your life. So I hope that helped. In terms of people distancing yourself from the in the community, particularly if you don't have money, obviously there's different cultural norms all around the world, and one of the things that I think that certainly from my own experience is that people don't distance themselves when they see someone who's got character, they see someone who's different, they see someone who's got drive, they see someone who's got persistence, and most importantly, someone who's prepared to put their hand up, to take action, to create value, and to be different. And I know for a fact that certainly worked for me. You know, I've been turned down and disappointed and rejected by so many people. But if you truly want something, you keep going, and eventually people start to realize and recognize who you are. And over time, it starts to pay its dividends. So if you believe in yourself, just keep going, never give up, and you'll ultimately rise above the mediocrity and you'll be recognized. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed this weekly Wealth Insight. If you did, subscribe to your channel, share it with your friends. We bring them out every single week. At the end of the day, we want to empower everyone to be able to invest like the top 1%. And it all starts with mindset. And today is all about mindset, because when you get the right mindset, I truly believe you can create the life you want. Have a wonderful week. Cheers.